We are live. I,
Hmm.
I wasn't at the top of my usual game, but we're live from the subarctic, and Michael is not in the cave in the sky.
No, I'm not. I'm in Shanghai, China at the moment. So
And
that's
what?
where I am.
But Beijing, China. What is your? What was the purpose of your trip to China?
Beijing Book Fair. So there are four major book fairs that LMBPM has gone to for the last 2 years. Frankfurt, the biggest, it was also the first one. And then London, New York, and Beijing, trying to get an understanding of what's going on around the world. And this one was really pretty useful. We came in on a day that had the International Publishers Convention. It was being held in the hotel we were at, having no idea, exactly what was going on. Judith was aware of it, and so I started to listen and hear everybody that was going to be speaking. And I really regret, and I mentioned this in an article, but I really regret the fact that there was one gentleman that was saying, "Hey, love to talk to you." He was in charge of $100 billion company. I was like, one business card I wish I had.
Yeah, that's cool. It, and it's cool that you found out later. It's not like everybody's trying to suck up to this one guy saying, "Oh, geez, look at my book, look at my product, look at my bring me on board as one of your executive vice presidents just because I like you." Yeah, yeah. No, it's cool. It's cool that when people are just people, and
Hmm.
that's what I like about 20 Books Vegas. Everybody is just everybody else. We're all there together.
Absolutely. So I see the different things that people are getting excited about 20 Books Vegas, and yet more things are happening that I certainly didn't know about, and I think it caught you a little bit by surprise. Talk to me a little bit about Google.
Google Play contacted me out of the blue. They have a new uh, author and book representative, and she contacted me out of the blue, and she said she just came on board and she was looking around what conferences do they need to go to, and hands down all the recommendations where you need to go to Vegas. And first, I mean, we're going to have 1,000 authors there. So if you want to touch as many self-published author noses as you can, you need to come to Vegas. So she contacted me out of the blue and said, please, how can Google Play get involved and come there? We'd love to have a sponsorship. We'd love to have all this. And of course, we don't take sponsors. So we just said, hey, would you like to come? And we have a seat for industry. I've retained a block of seats for industry professionals for the big players. And
Hmm.
after getting her seat, she's like, "Well, how about 6 people? Because 1,000 people, I myself would be spread pretty thin." So I said, "Okay," and they are willing to stand in the back as needed or whatever. They have a meet and greet, a separate one, just like Ingram, just like Amazon, as well as they'll participate in industry professional ones to talk to their peers and the other providers, whether it's Drafted Digital or Published Drive. I know Published Drive works with Google Play, so all kinds of great industry relationships in how they can
Hmm.
support self-published authors. So that's what she's coming to do, to listen to self-published authors. What can Google Play do better, and and also let people know what they do. Because I think there's some misconceptions, of course, and we information and talking to people is the best way to resolve any issues. Find out what exactly is going on and what the real story is. Too many people start with "I heard," or "Oh man, a friend of mine had this massive failure." You don't know what led to that. So
Yeah.
go talking to people personally and getting your firsthand information. That's one thing we're big on in 20 Books, is that firsthand information. This happened to me. Here was the background, and here's this. Okay, as opposed to "I heard."
You're right. And we have two other companies that I would not have expected to come this year and are. One of them is Ingram, and that is a massive company. If you're not well aware, I believe it's a multi-billion-dollar company, but they are the ones that actually create space, and others drive their print on demand on top of, for the most part. And they have publishing areas, all over the world, including Australia, and they're doing a lot of different items, some of which I can't talk about, that are going to
Yeah.
be helping indie publishers. And the other
Yes.
one is Publishers Weekly,
Yes.
and I think
That was
you
your
were
personal win. Thank you for that.
and Ingram was Mike Bray's. So we'll just quote, give everyone a round of applause.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Publishers Weekly is going to join us, and they are interesting certainly for me because they go after both the library market, which
Hmm.
is something that's kind of new, and quite a few people have opportunities with that. Um, and so you can get your announcements out that way as well as booksellers, which is what a lot of people are trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
So take advantage of that opportunity when they arrive, and so they'll be there. And obviously, we want to pepper them with quality questions and be
Yeah.
respectful and not attacking in any way, shape, or form, and encourage them to come back again the next year so that others can get a chance to come in.
Beautiful. That's exactly it. I really want everyone to act as professionals. If you've had some grief with Amazon, don't take it out on these folks who are there, but just ask what's the way
Mm-hmm.
forward and what do I need to do to have this relationship stable so I can run my business. And that's self-published authors. It's all about running your business, which is a segue into today's awe-inspiring episode.
Oh, is that the kind of awe we're talking about? Oh, or
Ah,
ah.
so success. Talk about when you first started. You wrote your first three books because you were on the road and bored out of your mind, and you wanted to work 20 hours a day. So
Wait a minute. What kind of fallacies are you? The original story has been cremated so many times. I wrote the first three books because, as a whale reader, I wouldn't look at series until 3 or 4 books were done. Therefore, I had already had experience doing Facebook ads and doing other ones with my consulting company. And so I was writing really hard so that I could start advertising the books to see if anybody would want them. It just so happened that people were starting to want them before I got, book 4 out. And as 4 came out, I was starting doing the little advertising thing, and it spiked. I think book 4 came out December 15th, December 19th. I think it spiked right before Christmas. I thought I had figured out how to accomplish that pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. And so later in December and January, I started spending even more on Facebook, only to realize that at the time, I didn't understand that Amazon would find certain books and then promote them. And since this is all historical, trying to calculate and figure this out, but at the time, I think Amazon happened to see my book number 4. It was, it got pumped up pretty good because of the whale readers that had to do it 1, 2, 3, and then 4 came out. And so I think they promoted it on the same day my Facebook ads started, and I thought there was a correlation, and no, there wasn't. So I spent probably $1,000 before I figured this out. I'm like, I'm spending $300 a day. Why am I not getting the results I should be? 2 days later, stop the spending. Stop the spending.
but what after you wrote your first three books, you said I'm going to write book 4. What was your success marker at that point?
It was a personal thing at the time for my consulting business. I was doing white labeled SEO. Each new client that another company that was my partner at the time, or I was their partner, um, each one that they would add on, I would get $100 a month, and basically for no effort. I had very little effort unless they had a problem, in which case I had to deal with it. So for me, every single time I made another $100 in a month, I could, in my mind, I could fire somebody who could call me up and make my life hell. And so for me, it didn't take much. It's just like, how many of these $100 clients can I get rid of? And so also at that time, I had the whole 20 books to 50K. I was like, okay, if I can, continue writing this, because this is after book 3, I calculated the 20 books to 50K after 2 books. And then the third one came along and I was able to refine it and say, okay, this seems like it's plausible. So it was always fans who want to reread my stories and make money. And so, man, when I took care of the income my company was producing, which was a little under 5 figures a month, and then I went past 5 figures in my third month, it was a success to me because now I was in a profession I loved, reading, writing books, and getting rid of clients. Because the really nice thing for me, Craig, about books are they never call me. Books never call me and bitch. I don't know about you. Maybe your books are a little bit that way, but mine never do. And
Yeah.
so, they're there working 24 hours a day. There's nothing about whether or not I'm having to get an HR complaint from my book. Now, readers, on the other hand, might not appreciate how my books talk, but the books themselves do not.
Yeah, I actually saw on the Cartharian Gambit Messenger list that somebody pitched a bitch about the cover of Valhalla, how filthy it was. Enter Valhalla. I looked at it. I'm like, I don't know what you're looking at, dude, but it's different cover than what I'm looking at.
Yeah, I'm like, I haven't even heard that one, but I'm like, really?
yeah. I didn't even know how to respond to it, so I closed Facebook. that was my answer. It's like I don't even know where to start on a conversation like that. But the success marker for you, it would pain avoidance is what I see. Pain avoidance and the dopamine hit of having selling 1,000 books in a day, making 10,000 a month, making 100,000 a month. Look at these numbers. Look at this business. I mean, we talked a couple months ago about studying for the market, and that's where you had that. You said, "Hey, every book I'm reading right now is on publishing." So, as opposed to urban fantasy or this market, my market is now publishing. And so, as you evolve with LMBPN in the business, and other folks giving other folks opportunities to write and provide content, whether through license or original content, it's now publishing is my groove, and now you have a different goal. So I think the important thing to set for success is achievable now. You want to have, I think somebody called it once a BHAG, a big, hairy, audacious goal. That's something completely different. Right now, what gives you success, or what gives you that rush of success? For some people, it might be a 5-star review. It might be more than a book bought by a stranger. So don't jump your success levels based on everything you see within 20 books to 50K. And this is, I'm talking to all the authors out there, is that your success is personal. It absolutely must be personal. You can't compare yourself to somebody else. I want to be like Michael Anderle. Okay, hey, no problem. Don't worry about working 19 hours a day, 7 days a week, because that's what you get to do if you want to be Michael Anderle. And you have to commit a lot of your personal fortune to that effort. So as you spend, like you said, hey, I was spending $300 a day and high as hell. Look at this. And then I was realizing I wasn't getting jack for that 300. Stop. Yes. So even if you have Michael Anderle money, you want to manage it well. So that you want to get, if you spend $1, you want to get $1 back on it. And that's, as a business owner and as a author, that's the way you need to think. You can't just say, hey, let me throw all this mud at the wall. One person asked a question.
Quite a few times.
Oh, yeah. And we have done that. But we were in a position to do that, and it was okay. Because we were also watching it and saying, hey, yeah, let's stop. Let's refine our mud and make them little tighter mud balls. But somebody asked a question, hey, if I have 5 to 7 books out and they're not earning, what can I do? And that's I go back to the books. And my personal thing was I wrote the first 4 books in 3 different genres, and that wasn't optimal. Once I got into one genre and kept writing in series, that's when I started realizing success, which is greater and greater book sales. For me, as a business consultant and in my personal mind, those sales and that upward trend on the chart is my success goal, as long as you keep climbing. And then also now I'm in a position where the philanthropy part, where yes, I can make money, but then I can use that to help people, and that gives me the big a big hit, like you, the dopamine hit. The Vegas show is such a massive rush. I mean, we walk around and it's like being a rock star, because people see us. Oh, hey, there's Craig Martelle, and they might hurry up, or they might shy away. More people shy away. Oh my God, and they give you space. And I mean, it's that's when I'll usually dodge into a bathroom. Oh, hey, I'd love to talk to you, but I got to dodge into this bathroom. We're just normal people. We're normal people who have realized certain amounts of success being relative, based on readers like our books. And we keep telling stories, and readers keep buying our books, and then we get more readers. And that's all mechanical processes of getting to more sales, because sales are our measure of success. So as long as we keep pushing that without spending more than we're taking in, and we've had some of those months, and people still consider me successful. I just a few months ago, I spent 16 grand to make 13. Now, those were long-term investments because I'm in this for the long game. This month is fabulous, actually. So August, good month. July actually wasn't bad, but June and May were just really unfortunate.
Let me stop you there just real quick, and I'm going to reiterate a question that I asked you a little bit earlier in Slack personally, because you've taken the last 4 or 5 years of KENP payout, which is the addition per page number, and then last year or last month, before it came out, you made you made an assessment that it was going to go down, and I was like, oh, damn it, and it went down. And this month, I'm like, July was really a nut buster. We lost well over 5 figures just because they dropped the payout so much. And so I asked you again, where do you think August is going to be? Because me personally, I'm like, at least be the same. And you said it looks like August will slightly go up. You want to talk to that just for a second?
I look at past trends, and for some reason, Amazon, you look at every 2016, 17, and 18. Okay, there were different KU1, KU2, KU3. But you look at those and you see July is pretty much the lowest month of the year every year. Because in 2017, July was, or August was 0.0041. And it's like, holy shit, look at how low that is. But July was 0.0040. So it had gone up. And every year, August superseded July as far as cost. So 3 years in a row, August was greater than July. So based on that alone, I have 3 data points, which any trend analysis, you got to have at least 3. It suggests that August is going to go up. And since it didn't go down as far as it had in the past, from 4.6 to 4.3, almost 4.4 rounded up, that, hey, not too bad. I think it will come up to 0.45, actually, 0.045 for August. And that's just a out of my ass guesstimate. But I don't think it's going to be that far off. I think we'll be at 4.5, and I think November, December will be at 0.005.
Excellent. So you heard it here, folks. It was it Howard Cosell? No, who was it? Jimmy the Greek, the football guy?
Jimmy the Greek, yeah. Yep. You bet.
40 years ago, he would always, I had no idea who he was. So I was like, Jimmy the Greek. And my dad would be watching him and be like, what is he? Is he a gypsy? Is he, what's these numbers that he's doing? But so, Craig, the guesser, Martelle.
Yeah. So that's August is, I would put good money saying it's going to go up. How far is relative, but still it's 0.045 is better than 0.043. So.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So going back to the success and seeing, what was success to me in the beginning. When did I know what success was? You don't need to compare, which is the hardest thing in the world to learn to do. Don't compare yourself to others, whether or not that's how fast you write, how much you're making. Always learn, if you can, to compare yourself to your goals and what you're trying to accomplish, because there are ways to go up. The one thing that I like about our industry is, in general, the rules are pretty close to the same. It is, if 2 individuals put out some books, sometimes we don't understand what's going wrong. A lot of times we can figure out what is wrong. And other times people can model it and mimic it. We've seen enough success stories in 20 books to 50K to know that people are following some of the same paths and it's working for them. And others, we know it just doesn't. Yeah. So there's too many variables for us to know all of the time. But in general, we do know the ideas of 6 things that you need to do in order to get a real shot at this. And so,
and I think I really tried to hit that in the book on release strategies, which is about managing reader expectations and setting the readers up to love your stuff and finding the readers that will love your stuff. That is so important. Targeting is the key to marketing, and making sure that you find those. There's a billion readers of English. So if you write in English, you're looking for that subsect of people who will like what you write. And that's what genre is about. It's completely about marketing, which means targeting, and genres is an easy way to target. So that's as far as success goes, you have to have that in mind. You can't, some people just say, I love what I write what I love. That's cool. But if you can tweak a word here or there and make it what you love, and oh, by the way, a recognizable genre that you can target, then that's the double win. But if you're just writing what you love, I mean, Old Yeller, that's cool, but it's an odd one out. You kill the dog, you're not hedging your bet. You're not improving your chances. So where the red fern grows, holy shit, how traumatic was that story?
Yeah. You only get so many of those that are going to win. Assuming that that's what your goal is to make money at this.
Yeah, and that's always my especially in 20 books to 50K, that you have to have that ancillary purpose. Because if you want to write the next great literary fiction novel and just put it out there for free, then that is a different goal. Just understand what your goal is. But by being a member of the group, I'm assuming that you want to write the next great novel, but you also want to make a few nickels on it. So,
or dollars, or lots of dollars,
or lots of dollars.
All right. So we've gone through this. I do not see as much, and it could be because I'm not on Facebook as much, but I don't see as much people having the same the syndrome, I'm a what's the syndrome that goes around for people whenever they're writing, and they see some success that they're false. What's the term of that? Imposter. There we go.
Imposter syndrome.
And I don't see it as much. And I think that hopefully, if you're feeling it, that there's the question of being an imposter, and we've seen a few people who are basically they ripped off someone else, and I'm a big person, and it's like, you're an imposter. Are you writing your stories in such a way that you want to do it? Great. That's not an imposter. Are you seeing success? Wonderful. That just means other people are seeing and enjoying your stories. Whether they do or they don't, you still wrote a book and put it out there.
Yeah.
There's, it's almost, I don't know a good metaphor that I would use, except for the fact of, did you grab a kit, put it together and build it, and there it is? Well, you did it. There's no argument to it. There's no imposter to it. I think that too many times people believe that being an author is something incredibly special. Well, it's hard. I think we all understand now that it is very difficult to put 70,000, 30,000, 180,000 words together in a coherent story that people like and enjoy. But once you've done it, you're not an imposter. Now, you might be unsuccessful, but you did do it.
In regards to sales, it still could be a great story, or it could be a story with just a couple issues that if you fixed them, then, because I've seen people rewrite their books, and a great example is Kevin McLaughlin. Not that he wrote a bad book, but he wrote a short book. The first book to his Sartori series was 30,000 or 40,000 words, and he added 10,000, made it a full-length novel, boxed it, repackaged it, and shot it out, and made a lot of money in a short amount of time with this new packaging, and taking that book, a book that he wrote a long, long time ago, I think 6 or 7 years ago. So there's opportunity, and it might just be something as simple as that. His first book was just too short, and for the topic he was trying to cover. So he added, I think, 10, 15,000 words, and that took him over the top. And now all of a sudden that book is mainstream.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we do have plenty of examples of individuals who've taken not 3 months to make 10 grand in a month, or even the first month out. We do see it, and I want to still encourage people to share that. Just recognize that that's not your experience. Kevin will be the first to tell you, hey, he was a 6-year overnight success or a 7-year overnight success.
Yeah.
I mean, he plugged away at it for quite a while. And that is the more common situation that occurs. And we want to encourage everybody that has that result. It's like, look, learn it. Martha Carr will tell you that it took her 30 years to see the success. That's a bit long, but hey, way to keep going at it, Martha.
Keep plugging away. And at some point, writing the next book may not be the answer. It's going back and finding out what that first book, second book, third book especially if you're writing a series, what is the hook and where do readers stop reading? And this is an important thing to find, because if you can find a spot where the readers stop reading, you can fix it. You can go back and rewrite that part and repackage and republish. If it's I have a series that's a pretty good series, Monster Case Files, but the covers scream middle grade. And people said I didn't pick up the book because I thought it was for middle grade. I thought it was for sixth graders. It's like, okay, I can fix that. And we have. The new covers are looking pretty choice. So we'll fix it. We'll repackage, and we're not going to call it a cozy. We're going to call it just adventure mystery, and target the readership that liked it. The 10 people who actually read the book, they're like, I love this. Well, what's your demographic? How old are you? What do you do? What do you do for a living? What cartoons do you like? I don't like cartoons. Oh, great. We won't target cartoon watchers then. I mean, all of these things you can learn, especially if it's a good book. And going back to imposter syndrome, the first time I got a ranking on Amazon, I was like, look at this. I'm ranked. I'm a ranked sci-fi author. And I've been a ranked sci-fi author for almost 3 years now, since March of 2016, 2.5 years. For March of 2017, sorry. So, no, 16. I don't know anymore, man. Don't put that pressure on me. For so long, and I see Robert Heinlein, he pops up. Yeah, I know he has passed away, but he'll get a book club, he'll scream up above me, and then he'll drop back down. And it's like, but I'm always there. And Anne McCaffrey, Asimov, and all these folks, when they get a promotion, they pop up and they jump to the top, and then they go back down, and I'm still there. And it's so imposter syndrome, not quite. If you're a reader of Heinlein and you look and watch and say, hey, look at this, Robert Heinlein is ranked X, and you pull it up and it's like, who's this dude next to him? Look at those awesome covers, and check me out and say, hey, I might like these books too, especially when you get strangers reviewing your book saying, if you like Heinlein, you're going to like this story. And I love those reviews. And so that was probably my first thing saying, you can do this. Did a naked woman, my wife? Yes, as a matter of fact, as she was getting ready to go to yoga, she always looks choice. So anyway, yes, that was a distraction that I was okay with. So a stranger looking at your book and said, I like this story. My first book, I made a positive profit on that in the first month. I sold, I think, 20 copies the first 2 weeks that it was for sale in January of 2016. And I think my dad bought 18 of them. But
now, wait a minute. You said 52 or 53.
Well, that's over the course of its whole life. It sold 53 books. So, and Dad bought like 50 of them. But so because I made my cover in PowerPoint, I didn't pay a penny to have it edited, as people noted. The cover was awesome because it was a picture of me. So I spent zero. I spent zero money. So when I made $3, I was already in the black.
Your amount per hour that you paying yourself is infinitesimally small.
It was, I think, 8 cents an hour. But so you can do it. You can get out there. And that first stranger saying, I like this story, just out of the blue. I like this story. How weird is that? And that was like, okay, maybe I can make a run at this. A traditional publisher bought that story. So right away I got the dopamine hit of, hey, here's somebody real who can who appreciates the work, and they have since sent me a good amount of money, and I'm happy with that.
Let's talk about that just for a little bit, because in the beginning, for me, it wasn't about whether or not my dad would read it, or mom, or brother, sister, cousin, next door neighbor. It was whether or not individuals I did not know would be willing to put down money or time, if it's Kindle Unlimited, and read that book. If they did, that was the only thing I needed. Now, do you recognize that, my mentality is a little bit different than others, but that was enough for me to say success. And so I certainly encourage people to see the same thing, because you never know, those friends might have your back, but if you're successful, you don't know if they're going to have a problem with jealousy. You don't know if your family's going to have a problem. You just can't tell. But that person who likes your genre and is willing to put money down and give you a review, good, bad, or indifferent, that you can take to the bank and go, okay, that's it. That's nothing involved.
Yeah.
And when you have enough people buy it, okay, you've got something, figure out what it is and give them more. And that was to a large degree what happened with Cthulhu and Gambit. They loved it. And it's like, I need to give them more and I'm not writing it. So let me reach out and see if I can, snag people like yourself to write in areas I wasn't about to.
Yeah. And then shared success, mutual success. I mean, the more people you help to be successful, the more successful you are. And that is, it's not self-serving. It's, we would do it anyway. 20
Yeah.
books of 50K. I believe that I'm donating more than 2,000 hours a year. So it's a full-time job worth of my time for 20 books of 50K. That's through the conferences as well as the Facebook group.
Mm-hmm.
And the books. Yes, I write the books, and Collaborations has sold like 55 copies total so far. So I'm disappointed in that, but it's Collaborations. It as you pointed out a couple days ago, it's a misnomer in that we also talk about anthologies and box sets and how you can collaborate with other authors to put yourself out there. And that's like an anthology or a box set where other authors all contribute a book, and you get together and everybody promotes the box set, whether you're list hunting or just looking for exposure to other readers. So different ways to collaborate in order to up your game. So the overall effort is to up your game. So look for it on Amazon, Collaborations.
Yeah, you might need to retitle, or the Collaborations : up your game. How to use your fellow authors to get together and boost your career. Something needs to be there, man. Because I think you're right.
This is what I get. This is what I always get. We talk about these things. I can change the subtitle because it's not there, but the subtitle is currently when the whole is greater than the sum of the parts, and that I think applies. But yeah, up your game. I think I should have a picture of me on the cover just because.
This is what
and
happens.
you. I'm putting both of us on the cover.
Yeah, that's it. That's nothing like, Yeah, but then you're buying the fucking steak and Chinese food in Vegas.
There will be steak in Vegas.
No, but you and I were talking the other night because I was going, man, I've been on the road over 30 days, dude. I'm like, oh, I need to get back home. I need to get back to plus I'm on the other side of the world. So when I'm asleep, everyone's awake. When I'm awake, everyone's asleep practically, except my jet lag and everything has never given up. And so my awake and sleep times are still skewed, which as I come to the end of this, I appreciate. It should mean that I get back on the normal time schedule for me a little bit quicker and faster and better, easier. But we are coming up to 20 Books Vegas. We do have individuals that are going to be there that, we would have wished we had no expectations for them to be there, and they are. So we're really happy with that. I know further plans that are going in that can't be talked about. I know a couple of things that I hope will be, we're going to stumble a little bit. This year, we didn't realize last year how cool Sam's Life was going to be. I didn't, anyway. And it turned out to be pretty amazing. And this year, what we're going and trying to do and how we're trying to change it so that the individuals who are there get a chance to meet all of the vendors, which I think is incredibly important. They're there to meet you. So if you get a chance, meet them. They want that. That's what they're there for. You will help Craig. You will help myself if you will take your time to go meet them, because that will show them that it's valuable for them to spend their money, time, and effort. And even though we don't accept any money for this, there's no sponsorships, there's no support other than what we do. In that, if you do that, then they will, put it back into their budgets, because it took Amazon. Amazon was there last year. We weren't allowed to really tell people.
We were not.
They had a person, that they had a person there checking out what was going on before they could actually do a budget. And so, fortunately, it turned out really well. They're coming back with a large group. But we are, 20 Books is agnostic. I don't care how you get up your mountain. I don't care if it's wide. I don't care if it's narrow. I don't care It's just so long as you don't do it on the backs of others and force others to get it up there. But otherwise, we'll support, even if it's a company, until recently, I wasn't going after white stuff. So there wouldn't have been a value for me to talk to Google. It just so happens there will be one come this November. So how convenient.
Yeah. Yeah. We have, really an all-star cast of industry providers and a lot of them. I need to dive into Sked and list them all, because as we were talking, I'm like, I don't think I listed BookBub. I don't remember if they're coming or not. Yeah, they may not be, because they've had some change of personnel.
So, but that reminds me. So Sked, if you're there, Sked, sched.com is an application, software application that you have purchased at great expense, just for the 20 books to make it a better event. However, I go into Sked and I look at it, and Craig was gracious enough to put my name and information in there, which meant that he jerked me around with it too. And the definitions and some of the stuff that he put in there, I'm like, I cannot believe the bullshit you put in here, man.
I didn't use the term sidekick, though. Craig's sidekick, Michael. Michael's Robin to Craig's Batman. For your profile picture, I did include a picture of both of us.
You did. And not only that, but I look like a freaking elephant, and you're like svelte in your Marine uniform. I'm like, you are a bastard.
Well, I figured you'd dive in there and change the stuff, but you were on the road, so it stayed like that for weeks.
It still has, man. That was when we were at SIFLA. And it's like, y'all should turn to the side. And I should think to myself now, no, you should never listen to that phrase, Mike. You were incredibly too many 12 packs of Coca-Cola past turning to the side.
Oh, goodness. Yeah, one too many Cokes from doing side views. Yeah, that's right. Top down. That's what I've heard. Top down selfies.
Yes. Take a selfie like it's way up here. It helps with the whole chin thing.
Oh my God, you're killing me. But Sked, you should have gotten an invite. If you're coming to Vegas, you should have gotten an invite. If you haven't, contact Kendra, 20books at craigmartelle.com, and she will resend the invite, because Sked will tell you if it's there. And some people have used Sked at other conferences. If you've ever used Sked before and had a login, you still do. If you have the same email, it won't allow us to send an invite. All it will allow us to do is change your password, send that notification. So if you've ever used Sked before, try to log in, and then if you are an attendee, you will have an invite, and you'll be able to look and see it. If you're not an attendee, you can't look at the schedule through Sked.com because it's private invite only. While you're on Sked, you can change your profile to public, and public only means that the people at that event will be able to see you. So you don't have to worry about anybody on Sked being able to see your profile. It's only by making it public when in the 20 books to 50K Vegas schedule, and that part of it, then it's public just for other members of that group. That's it. So
I don't think mine is set to public, and I don't think I set it to public.
No, you have to do that. I don't think I can. I probably can. I paid a lot of money to be able to make you public.
Jack.
Let's see what we got here.
Let's not see what we have up there. That's not necessary whatsoever. So let's get back to being successful. What does it mean to people? What's potentially holding you back? And I mentioned in my little comment the other day that, I've talked with someone who realized after making a really concerted effort in doing this that publishing and writing wasn't for them. And, I support that as well. If you learn that authoring, even though you thought it was your career future, isn't for you, that's okay. It becomes a hobby, and you go find something you're incredibly passionate about. That's not giving up. That's not doing anything else. That's just recognizing what's real to you. So, but my encouragement was, if you do love it, keep trying, keep at it. We don't know which is the one that makes it happen. There have been too many stories of people who have done 15 books, 20 books, 30 books, 40 books before they hit something that catapulted them. I think Sarah Nofke would, her latest series has so far exceeded, and she's done how many books before that?
Yeah. So her
Fun.
her latest series has outsold her previous 45 books
Possibly, yes.
combined.
I don't know if it's that much because she did really
It,
well in a few of them, but
it's not bad.
it's yeah, it's doing really really well. So and she's having the time of her life. Even I can't even touch her how many books she writes and gets out. But it is so showing that we see success no matter it's book one, book 100. It is all over the place.
Yeah.
And success is strictly you. Success can be I've helped 10 people who are in the hospital. You are the master of your success. Yes, we talk about money because that's what I set up. 20
Yeah.
books to 50K. It's kind of in the name, you know. Yeah, just saying, but that doesn't mean that's the only version of success. And I certainly don't want to suggest that it is. Um, we go beyond, we're seeing the success of people. I see the maturation of the business side of what's going on, the next level of companies that have come after LMBPN, who've taken what we've suggested and what we've learned and refined it even more. There's six-figure companies now in monthly.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, we're seeing multiple little seven-figure companies grow up. And the question is, you can go wherever you wish. LMBPM's desired and how we're building the strategy behind our company is radically different than a lot. And that's okay. No one should be trying to, God, I would not suggest people go around the world. It wouldn't, I'm not a traveler. It's not like something I've always wanted to be. So to keep putting this kind of effort into it, there's a strategic reason for doing it,
Yeah.
and that's my strategic reason. It's something that matters to me,
Yeah.
but it's not something I suggest others do.
Yeah, that's not my bag, baby. I traveling and stuff like that, especially this latest trip. I get sick on the first leg, and then I'm sick for the next 2 weeks, and that made it a pretty miserable physical effort over since Russia in Hungary as well as Edinburgh. I was struggling. I was suffering a whole lot, and I get back home and I'm healthy almost instantly and much better and more productive and more astute. My head in the game because it's not all clogged up and feeling like I'm going to die. So so traveling is not for me. I won't go to the Frankfurt Book Fair or the Beijing Book Fair. That's just not me. And if I had to do it for my business, I think I still wouldn't. Like Dragon Con could be a huge benefit for science fiction authors, urban fantasy, lit RPG. But you know what? There was way too many people there. It's not my thing. I am not going to go to Dragon Con, especially since, not a book finalist. And even if I was a book finalist like last year, I still don't think I'd go. I think it's just so many damn people. So restricting my travel to Vegas and when I don't to the conferences, and then just for staying home and working on my fiction. Yes, I publish nonfiction, but my idea of success is my fiction, my science fiction, and having those books loved by readers and those stories and people looking for the next story. I wrote two books over the last few months. One was book 6 in The Bad Company, which I wrote that with Michael. Michael took and wrote some sections in that personally, and we published it, and it wasn't that well received because it was a little bit esoteric, and it was okay. I thought it was a really good book because it made you think. It made you think more than my usual book. And then I wrote book 6 in Executioner, and that book has been fantastically received. And some people told me that's your best book ever, and by far. And I looked at it and I'm like, okay, I had some principles in here. So studying what are the two books, what are the differences? So how can I get more of this one that the fans really, really loved? And my dad called me yesterday just to tell me he read You Have Been Judged and loved it. He said, I love this book. He said, I stayed up all night to read it. That's my dad. He's 82. He said, usually he reads a book over the course of like a week or 2 weeks.
So
But
tell
he
me.
said, I
Let's
stayed
go
up
into
all
that.
night to read that book.
So let's see. Can we peel apart why? And as You Have Been Judged, is that book 1 or book 6?
That was book 1.
Okay. So this is the concept of where we took a little bit about your own personal background. You're a lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
And we added the fact that this kick-ass person, a little bit of Judge Dredd, You
hmm
stuck it in space, and you went down that path, and you created a couple of extra partners in crime, so to speak. This person that goes on and does it, and then you kept moving it forward. But it's Boston legal in space to a large degree. And
Yes.
so, book 6, why are they saying book 6 was so powerful for them? What did they like about it?
Book 6, because I discuss legal ramifications of an AI.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was Boston Legal. It was the first book that had that much courtroom drama. I had 3,000 words of courtroom drama. So it was that Boston, but it was also a corollary to Asimov's three rules, three laws
Mm-hmm.
for robots. And it was a different take on that, not Craig's three laws. No, not at all. Just what is an AI's role in society and within the courtroom setting, as well as the action for the first 30,000 words. And you take all of that and you put it together, and it made a good blend of some action and then courtroom action. I didn't get into long, drawn out legal discussions, but dropped them in such a way that the readers loved how it moved forward while making them think, but not think like Bad Company 6. Because there it was esoteric. It was kind of like a Sixth Sense thinking.
Yeah, I was going to say, I see dead people. That was more
Yeah.
the concept going in
Mhm.
that one.
And it was I liked it. I liked the story. I go back through it today, and I'm like, I still like this story, but it's not what they expected from that series. And that was the 18th book in that series. So yeah, they were more looking for more in your face, go Terry and Shar go kick people's asses kind of approach, which will be book 7 and 8. There will be much ass kicking in. But Executioner. So what I'm going to modify is, so Executioner 7, which I start in about a week, will be that mix of courtroom drama as well as action. So do a little bit of flexing through that without so much esoteric thought,
Mm-hmm.
but still thought. I think the readers appreciated being challenged with certain concepts and learning some legalese, because I pepper that in because I don't want to forget everything I learned in 3 years in law school. So
It's all about you. In the very end, it's all about whether or not you can actually do legal law and
yeah,
remember it.
yeah. And since I use real law as the foundation for these books, we actually do put them in a category of real law. And I don't feel bad doing that because I use real law. It's fiction, but it's fiction that explains nonfiction concepts.
Yeah, legal, like legal non-U.S. or
U.S.
in
legal systems.
yes, yeah, but outside U.S., which I think is funny because it's really, really, really outside the U.S.
It is.
Galaxies away. But it's there. So one of the items that, if you will, that's on my heart is we enjoy your trip up the mountain. I had a mentor one time that had a picture, and it really said, enjoy your walk of success just as much as the arrival of getting there.
Mm-hmm.
And I take that and have taken that to mean at times I enjoy my success.
Mm-hmm.
I keep putting bigger goals ahead of me, so it seems like I never get there. My success always seems to be right over the mountain or right over the horizon. But I do enjoy my success. I do use some of that money and buy a few toys. I do pay off stuff. I do a lot of these things while generating and building and investing back in the company. So there was the GE boss. What was his name? He
Jeffrey Emmel.
No, before him, the one who brought Emmelt on. Um, anyway, there's straight from the hip, Jack Welch.
Oh, Jack Welch. Yep.
So Jack Welch had a book, Straight from the Gut. If you ever get a chance, listen to it on Audible. The guy who reads it is fantastic. He really pulls you into it. But one of the things is when he took over a small, I'm going to say it was like a plasticizer group in the company, and they were responsible for taking these little bitty plastic pellets and selling them. And if I remember which of these miscellaneous stories he talks about, they would celebrate every Friday if they just got a good sale. That was it. It was the opportunity to just your success, the tiny successes. The fact that you got 50 reviews on a book is a massive freaking success. I mean, we go up and down. We've got one book with 1,500 views and one book with 3. So we see the gamut. Just because you got it once doesn't mean you'll get it again. Now, perhaps you won't enjoy it as much as the next time, but we probably should. So, enjoy your tiny successes with each other, which is what we encourage. And I certainly, want to have people do, because this is hard. Just because you're successful. Hey, we've dropped probably, what's the biggest we've dropped in 1 month? 40K probably in sales, at least in the last couple of years.
Last year, because we kind of forgot and didn't have any headliner books. And, oh, by the way, didn't do shit for 10 days out of a month.
Yeah.
And you're surprised that you only took a 15% hit in revenue and not 30%. So,
yeah, that one was, the 30, 40, 50,000, when you take a hit that big, because this company takes a lot of money to keep going every month.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're into six figures of writing royalty checks and everything else in a matter of seconds.
Yeah.
And so, taking those hits usually means that something's going to get tightened. And
that's
so,
you were talking about the journey and celebrating and enjoying the journey, and each new step you take is a new one. And even if you take a step back, well, then you could get to celebrate again when you get back to where you were. There's so many opportunities in the current book. I do talk about that as well. That somebody joins the Nightwalker as he's heading, and he hands over his farm and says, "I'll go with you, and I'll give my farm to this couple here because they need it and they can do well with it." And he said, "Why would you go on a journey if you don't know where you're going?" And that's the question we all need to be able to answer. Like right now, what a great journey we've got. We've got this time that we spend. I'm coming to Vegas right in September to do a walkthrough of Samstown, but still we're going to go hang out and we're going to do stuff, and we're not going to write, and we're just going to be hanging out. And that is part of the joy of the journey. Not that, hey, Michael and Craig, get together, let's sit and face each other and write words. I mean, no, we actually, what do you mean you're not writing words? Fucker.
Right, bitch, right. I have a mug for you to take back that you need to see every single day. Right.
But it's enjoying the journey. We're at that point now that we're enjoying it, and hearing people's success stories is every bit as exciting, and actually I think even more so than our own, because I've been in a position in my life where I actually believe I'm going to be successful, whatever my next success measure is. And they're always realistic. I know I can achieve them. And because I have the very low bar of I woke up today and I'm still alive. So as long as I hit that, it's a win, right? Everything else is gravy. So
you're sitting here going, you know what? If I fail to wake up, I won't know it.
Yes,
I'm going to be successful until I don't know it.
I was thinking about that. I actually need to write my computer password down, as I have a number of books in the works, and I need to have it just so they don't die on my my super cool Microsoft Surface laptop.
Yes. I'm running around with the 12, which has been, Apple has discontinued these. These are the 12-inch MacBook. And I love it. Now, I happen to be talking to you on my 15-inch MacBook Pro because it handles these videos so much better, I found out, than the other one does. But, that's one thing I get to do is I get to use any tool that I deem necessary. And there are a couple I really wish to deem necessary. Like I really wanted to deem one of those iMac Pro, 128 gig of SSD or just, a RAM. And I tried $12,000. I tried to figure out how to make this necessary. I couldn't. I lie for a living. I'm a professional liar who puts lies down on paper and sells them to people for stories. And I could not convince myself that the
12 grand was, yeah.
I was speaking to Kevin McLaughlin, the same Kevin that you spoke about earlier, and he showed me how much difference there was because the iMac Pro is a few years old now, 2 or 3 years old, but it's in this dark gray. Anyway, so he showed me how the newest iMacs were like infinitesimally different than the power of the iMac Pro. And they're like $5,000 or $6,000, which I realize, yes, is a lot of money. But this is like asking an individual who's, an engineer or even someone who works on cars, you get the best tools. And for many years, I didn't get the best tools, right?
Yeah.
I had to make do with whatever I could, which was usually a $300 laptop made out of plastic. And
Yeah.
so,
and you made it work, and you found out, you discovered that we can get cool tools, but you can also get the minimum tool you need to do the job. Yes. And for writing, that's an inexpensive laptop that doesn't eat your files. As long as you've got that, you're good. And then with Dropbox and iCloud and things like that, you have a secondary backup. But it really is, you don't have to throw a lot of money away to be successful in this business.
What is the one tool, if you're like, okay, if I get to keep any one thing with me, what would it be? If you had to just say the house burns, and I don't mean your digital files, all of those are safe.
Yeah.
But whether it's a software tool like Scrivener or Word, or Word with all of the different functions you have in it, what is the one thing that you'd be like, man, I don't want to lose this?
Time is the most valuable thing to me. And my super cool Microsoft Surface laptop actually has all my passwords saved on it, because I use different passwords on all different kinds of stuff. So it's this laptop, because I can get into all of the software and programs that I need to, because this laptop remembers them. So I save myself time by having this laptop. So
do you have that saved into the cloud? Like if that laptop went away?
I do, because I've got this laptop, which also has them saved on it.
All right.
But this one is the Surface, the Surface laptop, not the Surface Pro 4. Actually, is easier and better to use. It's a better tool. It's got batteries both in the tablet part as well as the keyboard part.
Oh, I'm glad you're liking it. What software would you say you would love to keep? Like if you were just like, okay, I'm going to forget all the softwares I've ever used, and I'm going to have to learn them all except this one. For me, it would be one called Plotter, Plottr. It's an esoteric tool that helps me create beats and rearrange them that I really, really love. What's yours?
Excel. The business is the first part of, I track my words. I mean, Word and Excel together are the match made in heaven for me, because that's what I've been raised on. The military, U.S. military, went to all Microsoft products probably in the early 90s. And since then, I've been using Word and Excel. So that's and PowerPoint, as you could tell by my mastery of that cover.
But there's some things PowerPoint should not be used for, but you've tried anyway. So
I can go without PowerPoint, but Excel and Word, because Excel to track the business, and I'm a super user with Excel, so I can make it manipulate data and tell me things from data sources. And then Word, just because you've got to have a place to get the words, and that's easy for me. I know how it works. Yeah, no,
I Scrivener for me was, until I got Scrivener, I couldn't put together the first books I did without it. I mean, it just, my mind didn't understand how. I understand now how I could have done it in Word, but for me, Scrivener was the one that helped me put together the books so very quickly. And then there was the part with Russell Blake when he did an article on his, I think it was russellblake.com or whatever, when he talked about creating a beat sheet out of Excel, a spreadsheet. I took his idea, which I think went top to bottom, and I switched it going left to right. But those were really important to me. And then, the some of the stuff like you did for LMBPN, we grew. I mean, LMBPN itself is a very organic growth. We encounter a problem, we all stick our heads together, we come up with a solution. When we had to start breaking apart, how do people get paid? There wasn't anything available back in 2017. Because we started in end of 2016, but we got the data in 2017. And so, there was just nothing available at that time. So, you used your Excel mastery and pulled together that stuff. And we still, today we're double checking everything against Abacus and Publish Drive and trying to make sure all of that stuff is going there. But, Publish Drive wouldn't have the data they have to check against without what you did 2 years ago. So
yeah, redoing that spreadsheet when you brought on the seventh and eighth ones, I'm like, okay, I can no longer do this methodology, and I completely changed the interface, the dashboard, how the data was pulled. Like one thing you asked for a few months ago was book sales, lifetime earnings for a book, pulled from the raw data, normalized to USD. A simple thing. And actually, I went through it, and it did only take me about an hour to add in that additional dashboard off the lifetime data that we have in that 120 megabyte super cool spreadsheet with, I think, 70,000 formulas. So
which broke my last MacBook. You laughed maniacally every single time. I'm like, you son of a bitch! I can't open this one thing, which is half the reason I bought the laptop you're now using. Was just so I could get access to those things because I needed it. I bet you a bunch of money. I could have gotten a $500 laptop that would have run Excel just fine. But Microsoft didn't give the power to something that was thousands of dollars in a computer, but couldn't run it because they didn't build Excel on the Mac to run as efficiently as they do on Windows.
But going back to its success, we needed the spreadsheet because we needed to be able to track the numbers accurately in such a way so Michael could pay his co-authors. And so as a business, we could track it month over month and see what is the trend, how are we doing, not where we were spending money, but where we were earning money. And this was an important thing. Which series, because this was Michael's real question on lifetime earnings, which series do I need to leverage that book one in advertising? Because if it's shown a history of success, then it's probably going to show a future of success because the fans liked it. If we're having problems not selling book one, but selling book two, then there's probably a problem with book one. And that was another data point to look at. Because if you sell 100 copies of book one and 10 copies of book two, you got a problem. If you sell 190, more of selling book one, sell the hell out of book one, write book three, and then books 4, 5, 6. So these are the data tools we looked at in order to leverage success. You have to be more successful, but you have to make the decisions. It's not throwing mud at the wall. It's targeted efforts. So, and if a book 90 on book or 100 on book one and 10 on book two, look at drawing that series down and that author moving somewhere else to write a different series, pick something else. So that's it's from a business perspective. That's what we looked at for success. And me personally, one of my favorite series, the first book never sold. I have book two outlined, which that's rare for me that I actually have an outline. And I'm not going to write it because book one never sold, even though I had it made into audio and all this. Holy shit! Just my favorite book, and it hasn't sold.
Did you?
And I feel bad because Mark Dawson hasn't read it either. I gave him a copy personally.
I'm wondering if it's the cover. I mean, did you ever change the Ring of Fire?
Yes. Cover? I have a new cover that people liked. It's still a little bit. It's more in tune with action thriller, terrorist thrillers. But I could still change the cover again. There's probably something with the blurb. But and there's only one book. There is no second book because first book sold so freaking poorly. It's really, really well reviewed. So that tells me that when people actually finally get past all of the friction and noise and start reading the book, it's like, hey, it's a gripping story. It keeps them. So,
but see, this is my problem.
Blurb,
you think so? You still think it's cover and blurb?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of both, but also the fact that there's only one. And this is me. Anybody who likes my stuff, they're going to look at that. Only one book. Jesus, he thinks it sucks. Well, I think sales suck of that book, not the book.
And since you're a businessman, you're willing to kill your kids, so to speak.
Well, I have an outline. So instead of success, we're trying to suck less, and that is going to lead to victory.
There you go. It's probably an excellent place for us to leave. Success, not less. Go on to
but
victory.
success, I think one of the most important takeaways here is everybody's idea of success is different. Make sure that yours is an achievable goal of success. If you want to be the number one New York Times bestseller, well, there's a lot of hurdles in getting to that point, and that's not in your control. So this is also make sure that what your idea of success is in your control. It'd be nice to have a bestseller, but you can write a book that rates to be a bestseller in your mind. You've written the best book you can. The readers love it. It sells pretty well. And that's all in your control. But but counting on other people, winning a book award, that's also out of your control. And probably a place where you don't want to go, because those are politically driven, and there's other issues outside of your control. But you can write the book, you can write a better book, you can put a better cover on it, you can have a blurb that just pulls people in, the one-click blurb. And despite the fact that there's millions of books on Amazon, there's very few that have one-click blurbs where you don't even need to click read more. It's just, I got to buy this now. So that's what you're striving for, and you can always get better and always improve to that point where somebody says yes, one click before they hit the read more button.
That's one interesting aspect. LMBPN, we have a lot of books going out, right? We have velocity on our side. The individuals who not put out as many, they have the ability to go back and really tinker with each one of those books. So you're going to give up something on that triangle of opportunity, speed, and everything else. Just recognize you have a value by putting things out at a certain speed. If it's a little bit slower, then you can work on your blurbs, you can work on your email, you can work on your covers, you can work on all of these things. If you're going really fast, you better kind of have a good idea of what you're doing, because like you and I, we've changed the covers on Terry Henry Walter. We're on our third iteration of that bad boy.
I changed, I think, 40 covers at that cost in May and June. So I sucked all that cost down in just those 2 months. It was rather significant. Mm-hmm. But put a new face on Judge, Jury, and Executioner. Those covers have made a huge difference, because the the sales on those have gone way up over the last month, ever since we started putting the new covers on. And now it's sitting. I think the lowest ranked book was like 15,000 on a 6-book series. So it's a year old.
Very good. Excellent.
Yeah, very nice.
Yeah.
And also, Michael had made this point earlier. Compare your success against yourself. Don't say Michael Anderle is number 3 on Sci-Fi always, or number 1 somewhere right in there, depending on whether a new episode of Handmaid's Tale comes out or not. Compare yourself against yourself. Or H.G. Riddle, because Lake Union is publishing and pushing. But you've got to, if you're 100 this week, do what you need to do to get to 95, and that's more sales, or book a promotion, add an extra promoter, an extra newsletter, share, or whatever it might be. Engage more with your readers. There's 1,000 different things you can do to improve your exposure and your position to sell more books. And
one thing, let me add this to it.
Your goal.
But you bring up an interesting point. By doing comparative, like I'm 95, I'm 90, 91, those things are really subjective, because you don't know what's going on in 1 through 5. But here's what you can do. You can always tell your sales. I've sold this many books at this price, and I've got this kind of KENP and this kind of read-through. Those are very objective. The challenge is sometimes you get lower sales and you don't know. So you have to go look at your ranking to find out, am I getting lower sales but a higher rank? That means the whole market is weaker. So there's a value in understanding it, but don't compare yourself to it, because it sucks.
Well, and it's long term, and and that is a good point. And as I give myself like 30 positions, so 100 to 70 is one bank. And if you're selling X number of books, you're going to be somewhere in there, because if a box set comes out with 20 authors, a 99-cent box, they just sold 5,000 copies. All of those people are going to move in front of you, and then all of those people are going to go away. So where are you consistently, and then move up and move up. I think right now I'm 25 or something like that overall, but I'm looking at all these sales. We've had some great promotions run that have really resonated. So August is going to be a good month for me with the fiction sales. So that's, and it's it's that relative ranking, but I use a combination of rank and sales. So it's me against myself, and my goal is simply 100 or less. I want to maintain a sci-fi author ranking always, anywhere in that 1 to 100, and I can control that because to be 100, my week's worth of sales have to be a certain number, and I am already always well above that.
That'll give you. There's I have the same thing, but for mine it's in the store. So top 100 in the store,
Yeah.
and I can tell you that like when I first was like, oh, I hit number 100 in the store. And I think it was during Christmas time. So I'm typically in somewhere between 15 and 30 in the store. I dropped 60, 70 spots. I think this is 2 years ago, and just dropped 60 because it was Christmas time. There's nothing. I was doing fine sales wise. My sales weren't hurting, but my rank was just getting crushed because everybody was buying these other things as gifts. And so sometimes all you can do is raise your hand and go, well, damn.
As long as your sales are the same, because we've looked at that at books, and we've seen our books below 1,000 rank making, $500 a day. And then we've seen book ranking 3,000 to 5,000 making $500 a day. It's like, okay, well, it's just there's a lot more books in there pulling the sales, but it hasn't affected ours. It's only affected this nebulous number, which is the book rank. Because if you have a lot of borrowers, then you might have a high rank, but now you're looking at, but I've only made $50 and I'm getting no page reads. Well, they borrowed it, they just haven't read it yet. So there's a certain nebulous nature to that number, and it's out of your control. But if it's you, always you, then you can say consistently, I'm a top 100 sci-fi author, or I'm a top 50, and you know what you kind of need to do to stay in that grouping. But that's how I measure myself. So that is it's been a good success measure for me. And as long as I stay in the top 100, because if I start drifting down to 80 or 90, you can guarantee you won't see me on Facebook, because I'll be pushing to sell books, because we're not going to go out of the top 100. Haven't spent a single day out of the top 100 since March 6th of 2017, which I remember that date because one day before GaryCon, and everybody should go to GaryCon.
There's some questions I have. I have something to share with you a little bit later. I can't do it on live.
No. All right, man. Which actually that should tie us up. Success. So suck less and have success, and good things to all people. Measure yourself against yourself, and always have something to shoot for.
See you, people from China.